New Thought Media Network proudly presents Having Courageous Conversations, where real talk dives deep. Each week we go beyond surface talk. We open our hearts, speak our truths, and dive into the stories that shape us. No scripts, no filters, just powerful, unforgettable conversations about life, purpose, healing, and truth. Join the conversation, because your voice belongs here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out our YouTube channel at Having Courageous Conversations or email us at yourshowyourvoice@gmail.com. Now, let's have a courageous conversation.
The views and opinions of our guest and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of New Thought Media Network, or any organization we may be affiliated with. Here at New Thought Media Network, we welcome freedom of speech and courageous conversations. There are many topics that can be difficult to navigate. Challenging the status quo and engaging in lively debate is important to expanding our understanding of one another, and life in general. Creating a peaceful world doesn't happen because no one disagrees, it happens from a willingness to understanding one another. In our programming, we strive to expand consciousness and assist people in creating remarkable lives. Your comments are welcome at info@ntmedia.org.
Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're coming to us from today. Welcome to Having Courageous Conversations. We have an exciting show today. We have a couple who we are going to be interviewing, and I know it's going to be very special. So my name is Cheryl Rogers. We are grateful that you're joining us, whether you are joining us live or you're watching us later. And we appreciate the time that you are giving to our show. So I'm going to introduce Mark Dupree, my co-host, and she's going to introduce our wonderful guests.
Thank you, Cheryl. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's such a pleasure to introduce both Jules and Josh. Jules and Josh Fritz are a dynamic duo that are partners in life, in love, and purpose. Together, they homeschool their 3 children and caregive for Jules' mom, who's living with Alzheimer's. As a family of 6, they travel full-time in their vintage Airstream, sharing a message of joy, hope with Life Labs. No, Life Labs, it's Miracle Labs, a family-centric venture that blends their unique gifts in speaking, coaching, multimedia, storytelling, and writing. And as I was saying about your children and your family, should anybody enter the studio while we're live, please don't worry about it. We're in a relaxed atmosphere here. Jules and Josh help leaders, organizations, and entrepreneurs align with their authentic selves, with how they show up in the world so they can find freedom, create impact, and lead with clarity. Their 11-year-old son, Julian, your way through big. My screen was doing something funny there. Big feelings alongside his mom at events for her book. Aaaaah. Say it for me. Say it for me, Jules, please.
Aaaaah Miracles.
5 steps to self-mastery using emotional intelligence. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Their 6-year-old twins offer Twinkle Touchstones collected from their travels that promote presence. Miracle Lab isn't just a business, it's the way they live incredibly. They believe that the best work comes from living what you teach and leading by example. Learn more about their books, coaching, and upcoming event at themiraclelab.org. And I'm sure that Deja will kindly put that on the screen at some time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And the first question I'm going to ask you, you're welcome, is how did you come together to create Miracle Lab?
Oh, that's quite a story.
Josh likes to say I was delivered to his doorstep.
She was delivered to my doorstep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Let's go.
She said, let's go. Let's go.
I would like a disclaimer. Everyone should know that I did not start on this life path. This was not my goal originally to have this life. I didn't know what my goal was, but I did not know I would wind up here. And so
where did you think you were going to end up?
I don't know, maybe just like working, they were owning a business that was like just offering, I used to work with my hands a lot. So I was in custom kitchens and cabinetry and stuff like that. So for a long time, I thought I was going to have a long life and that type of construction, doing high-end cabinetry work and countertop work. And
the day I met him, he was very dirty from that job.
Very dirty.
He was
Yes,
covered from head to toe with dust. So he made the best first impression. Full work clothes. So yeah, I took an invitation. I took friends up on an invitation to move, visit Savannah, Georgia. And we met at our 10-year high school reunion in Florida. They were living in Savannah, had a big enough house where they could offer me an opportunity to come to Savannah. Now, here's the thing, y'all. They did not tell me about the other roommate. So I knew there were 2 roommates, including the owner of the house. And but they left this part of it out. So when I arrived to Savannah to check that, out the city and see how I felt about it, which they kept telling me, they were like, just bring all your stuff, just pack everything. You're going to live here. And they were just so certain about it. And they were right, because I got there and Josh and I met, and it is definitely the hallmark love at first sight story. And it was also kind of complicated because I was moving in, right? So it was just kind of like, oh, how do we navigate this? So fun fact, we've always lived together. So
she tried to sleep on the couch. It didn't work out.
That's so
I was like, no, you're my future wife. You're going to have to come stay with me.
Yeah. He was like so certain about it. The first day we met, he's telling me, he's like, so if we have a son, I need his middle name to be William, because it's like a family thing. And I was like, what's your last name? Like, I don't So yeah, when you know, right? And it's also been, you can have that fairy tale, if you will, beginning and story, and also have all of the places where you have to get over conflict and growth together in order to continue connecting throughout the years. Right. So we just celebrated last week, this October 16th was 18 years ago that we met.
That fateful dirty day.
That day when it was covered in dust.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I was on my own career path for a long time. I had gone to school and graduated college and got the job in corporate, the corporate world, and was doing my thing and trying to make my mark in the world. And I kind of got to a place where I just rubbing up against the idea of it's not feeling right. It doesn't feel good anymore. And so I gracefully was able to step out of that job. And then Jules really needed help at the time in her business, which she was a beauty professional. She was a makeup artist and fantastic at what she did. And her business was growing very quickly. And so I stepped in to kind of help her in the office and started working on teaching myself like photography and back-end office management and website design and like all these different things that she really didn't have time to do anymore as the company grew. And I remember one day we actually took a Prosperity Plus class with the Marianne Morrissey class at Unity of Savannah.
Shout out to Unity of Savannah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was like we didn't have a spiritual base when we met, and when we got married. It was after we got married that we then talked about God for the first time.
I mean, it was like the next month, God was like, okay, I let y'all get as far as you could.
Now it's my turn.
Without putting me in the center, and here we go. And it's not like we hadn't talked about it, and it's not like I had a major background with a religious upbringing. He did not. So it just kind of like, he understood my background, I understood his, and we just kind of had like a common place with it. And my background was it was a Pentecostal background. So it was like way different than him coming from basically no upbringing in it.
Yeah, so I in college, I took a lot of science. I originally was a chemical engineering major, and my belief came from what I could prove. It was all science based. It was like, it was like, show me was my thought behind the whole thing. I had a hard time believing in like what you may call woo woo, or what you may call like, the actions of spirit, and the whole intangible was difficult for me to understand at the time.
But we got an invitation. To Unity of Savannah. And we loved it. We loved the message of not only inclusivity, but positive affirmative thinking. And so it having that type of welcoming tone and energy was really easy for us to keep going back. And so that was our first year of marriage. I think we went to Unity Savannah just a couple months into our marriage. And we had already been together for like 4 years at that point. So something like that.
And so in the prosperity class, they talked a lot, and Mary Morrissey talked a lot about, tithing of time and talent, and also about doing something that you love and that brings you joy, and it is also helping other people. There were some key caveats that she mentioned that, made us kind of start thinking. And at this time, our business was doing those things. But it also, there was a happiness factor that was like kind of, elusive. It was like, sometimes it felt great, sometimes not. And so we thought about, what would we love to do? And it's funny that you flubbed up and said Life Labs, because that's actually what we originally came up with during that prosperity class, was that we would create a business called Life Lab, in which we would help people start their own passion projects.
Well, this is what was happening. So being an entrepreneur, so back to the friends who invited me to move to Savannah, it's because they said, you need to move to Savannah because Savannah needs a makeup artist. And they were totally right. How they knew that, I'm not sure. These are a couple guys that are working in a woodworking construction business. How they knew that, but they were so on point. So, God will always speak to you in a way that you will understand and not miss. And that was absolutely the case with them. So when I got to Savannah and landed and became the first makeup artist and the whole 9 yards, it was a joyful thing for me, right? It was a huge way to express. As it continued to grow, it became more of a business. It became more of a machine, if you will. And now I need his help to run the office side of it, working as the agent, booking us on all jobs, us being the artist now I'm training, so this thing just got bigger and bigger. And so when we were doing the Prosperity Plus, I remember one key moment, Mary Morrissey said, do you think you could see yourself on the stage doing what I'm doing right now? And I remember in my heart kind of screamed like, me, I would, yes, had never spoken before on a stage, ever even considered it until that moment. And it was so scary. It was like, no, shh, don't, no. And then, I'm feeling this energy of like, I think I would like to do that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that means, but it's different than makeup. And so people seeing how I grew this business, they naturally were drawn to me. How did you do that? I actually don't like my job. I don't like the way my life is going, but you seem to have figured it out for yourself. Can you help me? And so I was kind of on the side helping people to start their own businesses. And then so Josh, my partner and everything, was right there. And so we would end up like collaborating, if you will, with these different
And
folks and businesses.
Side note, those early businesses that she helped to start are still running today.
Yeah, they're still
running. They're still great. Like,
yeah.
they're doing great. It's really awesome to see.
Yeah. So we knew there was something to the life and business coaching, but being a makeup artist for so long and being at the level that I was at that time, to leave that was for what? I'm not even sure how to define it. Seemed very, it seemed very scary, to say the least.
Career suicide is what most people would think about.
Right. Like, why would you leave that to go jump over here where you don't know? And Reverend Dale at a Unity Savannah, I spoke with him and I just said, hey, Rev, I'm not sure what's going on inside of me, but something's changing. And I just want to share these things that I'm discovering and feeling. And it has nothing to do with eyeshadow. And I'm not sure how to do this. And so, again, Spirit used him just like using my friends that day and pushed me out of my comfort zone. And he said, well, you're going to speak in 3 weeks. And I was like, what do I say? And he said, God will tell you. Bye. And left me like that. And I was like, what? And so my first, and Reverend Dale is a dynamic speaker. Like, he is so great. And I remember and we're watching him the Sunday before I'm supposed to speak. And Josh looks over, he goes, how are you going to do that? And I was like, I don't know. Right. And, but what happened is I got on stage and I delivered what I was supposed to say. And I had no notes. I actually have no memory or recollection of what I did. I call it a spiritual blackout. And when I kind of started realizing, kind of coming back, everyone's standing and applauding. And I was like, what? And thankfully the audio person had a CD available and said, here you go. You did great. And I was like, what did I do? And I went and I listened to it and I was just like, oh, I did it. I was crying, listening to it. Just so happy. Like I connected the dots. I did it. I did the scary thing that my heart's been calling out to me to do. And so that's how I got on this path. And my partner was like, oh, I can help you amplify that message. And then started doing videos and being able to share that message in a bigger way.
Wow. How long ago was that?
That was 2016 when I took the stage. And we then started the process less than a year later to liquidate our lives. We started the process to sell our house and move away from being in the one location, doing the makeup artistry, and because we just wanted freedom to figure it out. We wanted the freedom to figure out what was next.
We had the monster business that we had built required us to be certain people in like society in town. Like, we would walk down the street and we knew everybody, and we knew all the magazines, and we were in the magazines, and we were working with everybody, and we had a beautiful studio in downtown Savannah on like Broughton Street, which if you've ever been to Savannah, it's the beautiful shopping street, kind of like the Rodeo Drive of Los Angeles. And the whole thing was expensive, and it was cumbersome, and it was hard to maintain month to month. And I did all of our numbers. And one day I just was like, I can't take this, like, just cycling back to zero every week. Like, we're bringing in a lot of money and we pay out a lot of money and there's nothing left. I'm like, we're just on this hamster wheel. I don't see an end in sight. And
it required me to also physically be present, in person, doing makeup. And
that was where we made our most money, was from her, away from our baby.
Set, yeah, right. And all I wanted to do was be with my baby. And I wanted to also explore this new thing that was growing inside of me, this other baby, if you will, that was starting to grow and develop, that I felt needed nurturing. And so, during we were in a heated moment, and he says, what do you want to do? Actually, he was telling me that. And I said, I said, what do you want to do? Just sell everything and move into a camper? And he said, yeah. And I was like, move? What? So I was like, he had enough crazy in his eye that I was like, I'm going to talk to you later. I can't not talk to you right now. Okay. And then we came back and he pinged a truth bell inside of me. And when that bell was rung, I couldn't unring it. And I heard it. And I was like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Yeah, I think that's actually, what I think it's time. And then things just unfolded.
Yeah. It was a perfect storm.
I could just see being a fly on the wall when you're telling the people that you have been working with, playing with, associating with. Okay, so wait, are you telling me you're going to leave the makeup world and work spirituality and live it, and you're going to move into a trailer?
Oh, listen, the people. Do you know how people look at you when you say something that is like beyond what they can understand? Just imagine saying, I'm going to sell my house, my perfectly nice house that's beautiful, and I'm going to move into a camper. They were like, what? They were 3 heads, right? Like, what? And what's your plan? I don't have one. To follow God's will. And they were like, what?
That's so awesome. Talk about courage, right?
It did. And it was we called the surrender experiment, right? So the surrender experiment is from Michael Singer. And it was just like, let's allow ourselves the space to actually feel that we are in surrender, not giving up surrender, but in surrender of not fighting it, right? Like we feel this thing that was like tugging us and pulling us forward, but we are in a position with the house and the this and the that and the obligations and responsibilities that we can't just go with it, right? We can't flow, we can't dance with it. So let's do what we can to free up that space and give ourselves the freedom to just go and see what happens. And what was guiding us the whole way through was a sense of peace. That's how we knew every step of the way that we were on the right track, because we would always feel really peaceful. So in those conversations where people are like, oh, and their minds are blowing, like melting right in front of us, right? We're just like, oh, it's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. We just always felt peaceful, even though they felt so much anxiety and freak out for us. We were good. We were solid. We knew that it was something we needed to do. And it was absolutely what we needed to do. And thankfully, we had the principles of Unity to help us with our positive thinking throughout the whole process. So fear wasn't taking us down because we knew, okay, well, again, going through the different courses and having a supportive community around us, cheering us on, by the way, then we knew it's going to work out. If not this, then better. It's all God's will. If this is happening and it's moving forward, it's because it's supposed to, right? I'm not arguing with it. I'm going with it. So isn't that exciting? Let's see where this thing's going to go.
And just as a side note, there is nothing easy about it. Following your passion and your belief and surrendering into life flow has a lot of friction, both externally and internally. And there was such conviction after hearing Michael Singer's story, like we listened to the surrender experiment actually while we were traveling west, our first road trip out in the camper. But we read that after we had already read Untethered Soul. And so knowing that someone's story, the way his story worked out and allowed him to generate such wisdom to write Untethered was like such a motivation to be like, there's nothing that we can do to mess this up. As long as we keep leading in love and we keep following peace, we can't mess up and we will be supported.
And it was good modeling, right? So we weren't listening we didn't have trash in our ears. right? Like we were feeding
Beautiful.
ourselves good. We were feeding ourselves the food we needed to sustain us, to keep moving forward on this journey of like, okay, well, this person has done it and has written and done a service to the world through these books. Wow. You know what? It's going to be okay for us too. There's no difference between that person and us. There's no difference, right? So, but the biggest thing I will say is that our belief system, we believed it was going to work. So it had no choice but to work. You know, there was no room in our minds for, oh no, we're going to be homeless. You know, it was like, this is working and we got to trust. And it also, you know, last interview that I had with you guys, the right kind of hard was a theme, if you will, throughout it. And this is again a situation where it was the right kind of hard. Staying was a hard we couldn't handle anymore. It was it felt like suffering. You know, it wasn't we couldn't do it anymore.
It wasn't an option. Yeah.
It was not an option anymore.
Yeah.
So this was the only option, and we felt peaceful. So why?
And it was I just want to comment, Cheryl, sorry to cut you off. Sorry, not sorry, but Josh, you said about let me make this clear. It wasn't without, what was your word?
Friction.
Yeah. And when I hear somebody speak in that way, I can hear you. I can, you know, it's not all fluffy, you know, it's not all joy filled and peaceful and whatever. There's friction in there too. So, okay, Cheryl, go.
Well, that's great, because I wanted to come back to that, and I know we can spend some time on it. So at this stage of the show, we're almost half through. So I'm going to suggest that we take our break. So don't go away. This is such an exciting conversation. And when we come back, Josh, I want you to talk a little bit more about that friction that took place in you and around you, and how you overcame that, because it sounds like all, you know, what's the word? Carnations, because they don't have thorns, and love, and, you know, everything was just so easy. But we know that it's never all easy, just like you said. So I'd love to hear more about that when we come back. So don't go away.
Get your popcorn popping. Yeah, it's about to get good.
Get something to drink, have some coffee or tea, go to the washroom. And when you come back, we'll be back to continue the conversation.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Home Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents It's All Love, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, with Laura Mock as the presence of love, Maria Hartman, knowing truth, Wendy Wilson as the quality of presence, and Lara Brzezinski as the essence of joy. It's All Love, a space where we open into the heart, tap into the soul's deep wisdom, and enter into the energy of love, truth, presence, and joy. It's All Love, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Wow, this has been such an amazing story. And like we said before break, we're here with Jules and Josh Fritz, and we were talking about their wonderful story of romance and building businesses and being where they are today, which is a really good place to be. And before we left for a break, we spoke about things not always being easy and how sometimes there can be friction both inside, outside, and it's important, I think, to talk about that as well. So I'm curious, Josh, when you did mention that, what were you thinking of and what were you referring to?
Everything and all things at one time. I mean, you're talking about family, finances, personal comfort's gone. Mm-hmm. Everything that you know in your regular life. You know, mm-hmm. A lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, you guys just had this like, you know, this easy time, and you probably had like tons of money in the bank, and you just like hit the road and you just did what you wanted to do." And it's like, no, that's not what happened.
It was an extreme learning curve.
Yeah, I mean, like I had towed trailers before. Mm-hmm. I'd never towed a 30-foot camper. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, so there was the learning curve was just exponential, and just figuring out how to do.
As you're saying that, I'm remembering that I had only been tent camping once.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was like pretty comfortable because I had an air mattress, and you happened to hook up an air conditioning unit. So I really had no idea of, I mean, and I'm going into a camper, so not a tent camper. I mean, a tent camping situation, but still, like, I was very much so signing up my whole life to something that I had not really actually lived. Mm-hmm. I just knew it was going to be all right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, I think a lot of people talk about when you go through transformation, there's often like a really hard push before you're able to really break through it. Mm-hmm. And we definitely experienced one of those, just trying to break out of our life in Savannah and the home that we had there, and actually get on the road and leave the first time. You know, at the time Julian was 3 years old, and we had 3 dogs, Roscoe, Scarlet, and Blue. And so we initially thought we would just, you know, go ahead and just sell the house. And then we thought, well, maybe we'll just rent the house out for a while. You know, it might just be easier to just rent it instead of trying to put it on the market right now. And so we found a renter, and, you know, all those things come with their own levels of drama. Mm-hmm. And so the day that we actually tried to leave home, everything kind of fell in at once. The camper was in the driveway. The renter's moving van was parked right next to it. They were moving in.
I need to paint this picture a little bit more, though.
So yeah, she's better.
No. You're doing great, but I just don't want to leave out the dramatics of that. The camper, our house was on a cul-de-sac, so we're like like right in this, like when you're coming down, like bullseye, there's our house. And now we have a camper in the driveway that you're not allowed to have,
yeah.
right? The homeowners association is like, we're like, we don't care, we're leaving. So we're in there now, just so y'all know, we are living in the camper. So the neighbors are like, we're in a fishbowl. I mean, they're just like, what are they doing today? You know? And we're like, we're just doing our life, you know, and that, you know, not really helping. They're just, you know, spectators.
Yeah.
And so we have that in the neighborhood. And like he's saying, trying to get everything out of the house into storage. And then we also have this timeline coming down because we've accepted this renter. So we have to get it all done. And then Josh's grandmother gets moved into hospice and she's got maybe days to live. So there was another, you know,
layer,
if you will, also pressuring us that we can feel. That's the pressure we feel, is just like, we got to get out of here. We have to get there. And then one of our dogs then started to take a turn and we knew his life was coming to an end. So it just was like,
so on the day
so
that we left,
much happening, right? And it just felt so heavy. And as you're telling it, I was like, every
time I think about that day, it feels hard.
It was a hard
So
time.
on the day that we left, the camper was on the driveway. The renter's moving van pulls in. They finally figure out how to come up with the money for the deposit and everything. We get all that lined out. And I was like, okay, finally, this has been like a 2-week ordeal of like, you're supposed to pay the deposit upon signing the lease. Where's the cash, you know? So they finally, you know, get their stuff together. They got their big moving truck is like inches away from our door in the camper, because that was the only space for it to go. They're moving in. We literally have to go, Roscoe, our dog, could not go any farther. Like
we have to do that.
We have to go to the
we
vet.
have to put him down because he's so sick and in so much pain. We have to leave there. We have to leave there and go complete the sale of our vehicle, because
we're selling our second vehicle on the way out of town.
Then, you know, finish up storage and then rush to his grandmother's hospice.
About 2 hours south.
So, you know, like friction. Yeah. It was tough. Go ahead.
Okay. Question. So, you know, you talk about messages. How was this not a message? Oh, okay, you're doing the wrong thing because all of these things are.
Oh, that's a good question. That is such a good question. It felt like, so the way that it felt like was not that we were doing the wrong thing. It felt like we were crossing over, like Josh was saying, the veil was thin. It felt like we were getting pushed through something, right? And it was like our old life was almost like fading away as we were walking out of it. And that is not only painful, but it's also all you can do in that moment is keep moving, keep moving, like step after step. I didn't even have time to say, are we making the wrong decision? It was like, go, just keep moving, right?
And two, if you consider all those things to be, let's say they're red lights, let's say you're playing red light, green light. If all those things are red lights, everything leading up to that day was green lights. The purchase of the camper was magical. The purchase of my truck was magical. Like the moving out of our studio and closing that out was magical. Like all these things were supporting us.
I just got this feeling of, so, and that day was also green lights, right? The vet was able to see Roscoe that day. The sale that completed before we left town
was on the way. It wasn't out of the way, it was on the way.
We were able to get everything into storage. We could do it. We just had no time to talk about it, right? Like it all just.
And I did get to kiss my grandmother before she passed.
And we made it. You know, so it was one of those situations where you like fall at the finish line, right? And you know that the life that you just left is. There's no more, there's never we can go back to that, right? That's what it felt like. It felt like that of just like, got to get through it, through it. So I hope that my prayer of sharing the vulnerability and the depth of that story with the folks that are viewing right now is that it may not be that extreme, but maybe have found themselves in a situation where they realize like the life that I was living can be no more. Right. And it's because it's not supposed to. So even when it's hard, again, right, kind of hard, it's this situation where it's like, it's still working out.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Yeah.
still moving me forward.
Yeah. And perfectly and in divine order, right? Because you weren't in the middle of nowhere with your dog dying, for example, or,
exactly,
so these kind of things, you were able to say goodbye to your grandmother. You weren't 2 days away. So those kind of things really make me see how that can be in divine order, and how, in a way, it's like happening for your good, and also stopping you from even questioning what you're doing, but needing to just deal with it.
Just go, just do it.
Get
right,
out of
right.
there.
Yeah. And now what I was talking about was just prayer. Like it was just, life was just like everything I was saying was just constant prayer, because that's I was in that zone, in that place of just like, help me, be with me, carry me through, like, give me the strength. Like it was just it was just moving through and trusting. And I think that was almost like a gauntlet, if you will, right? Of just like, you got to get through that, and it being such an extreme learning curve, but also knowing that we had to trust every single step of the way in that extreme story we just shared. But it wasn't like, that was it. And then from there, we were smooth sailing, right? It just, we had to continue the practice. It was like we were leveling up, and we could feel that like stretch of it. It's like, oh, I never thought I could do any of those things, right? Let alone like simultaneously all at once, but I could. Wow. At the end of it, I mean, I remember falling onto the bed, like just, and being like, I don't know that I've ever believed I could be that strong. Whoa. Like, and just having that realization of like, okay. And I survived. Yeah. Okay. So, sometimes we go through those things to realize this resiliency and the strength that we have that doesn't get unlocked until we need it. Right.
Exactly.
And then you're like,
I was going to say that. And I don't believe sometimes, I think all times, because I think in order for transformation to take place, we have to go through those challenges and those difficulties to really be able to get, to move into another space, to transform our way of thinking, to shift our perspectives, and to grow.
Amen. Transformation. And that's what we were doing, right? We were transforming into this new call, right? That was unclear as far as what it was, but we just knew that we had to show up, and that's what we kept doing over and over and over again. And so, with us sharing our stories, because we have a lot of them, with us sharing our stories, it's important for us to be, those models that Michael Singer, for example, was for us, of just, you can go through these really hard things and these transformations and survive, and it be worth it. On the other side of that, we were still like, still we're supposed to do this.
And you can follow what your heart is calling you to and survive it. So many people are like, I could never do what I want to do because I won't have enough money, because I won't have enough support. I won't have enough this or that. And it's just like, you have to just fall into the belief that everything is in divine order. Right. Everything will work out because in the way that it's supposed to work out. And it may take a way longer than you ever expected, or could believe that it really would. But every step of our story, every time I felt like, oh, this is it, we're going to be bankrupt, a miracle occurs, and something happens, and something works out, and something comes in, and it allows us to keep.
And then I have to be like, hey, we didn't come this far to only come this far. Yeah. Like, come on. Like, remember, we're here on a mission, right? And that's what after going through all that, we quickly realized was that we were on a mission. We were doing God's work, and we were being called to the next place. And then, the next hard situation was caregiving for my aunt, who at that time we didn't know her cancer was back, and we were able to go in and park at her house and be her caregivers that she needed. And she would have never have allowed us to do that, but we gave her a choice, and we were there. And it was such a gift to all of us, to be there in her time of need. And so that's when we started like, oh, we are agents right now, like on a mission. And this is why we were made to be more flexible, because we're supposed to be in more places. We're supposed to have a deeper impact on the people that we love and that are close to us, and people that are looking to follow their passions, right? Create a business doing the thing that they love. So we realized that quickly.
Yeah, you had faith. And so what I'm hearing as well is, from a unity perspective, you were living the principles of unity, and, the teachings. I mean, what a wonderful example of truly letting go, surrendering, and having faith, and using, being aware of your thoughts and how they create, and, your actions and all those kinds of things, which I just admire and think that's absolutely fabulous. Like you say, being examples of truly being able to do that.
Thank you. It's and that's it, right? We're all mirrors and examples for each other.
Exactly.
Right. So if I'm showing up and I'm living my life out loud, and I'm doing what is true for me, then that in some way is giving someone else permission to do it for themselves too.
Exactly.
And if they're scared, oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about leaving my job where I'm doing so well, or leaving the security of my home, or, trying this other unknown avenue, they can say, man, well, Jules and Josh have been through some stuff, and they still are going.
Just so y'all know, in this story, we haven't even had twins yet.
Yeah, right.
I know. I was thinking we're going to have like chapters. We'll come back next year and have, go into the family side of it.
I know. It's like this.
But
there you go.
I wanted to ask you as well is, what about your relationship? Like, how did that affect your relationship?
The funny part about our relationship is that back to that book, man, Michael Singer, like I just.
So yeah, that's a good point. So there was a point in time when Jules came to me and said, listen, if you don't start reading this book, we're going to grow apart. And I was like, what?
I mean, straight up.
That's pretty serious accusation.
So that picture is from our vow renewal. So 11 years after
11/11/22.
We got married on 11/11/11, and we did our vow renewal
on our 11 year. So she came to me and told me this, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll read the book too. I don't know. And so I started reading The Untethered Soul. So this was before Surrender Experiment. This is my first intro to Michael Singer, and it took me 1.5 years to read that book. Throughout reading it, it's straight up, there should be a disclaimer that says, warning, when you start opening these doors, stuff will start crumbling in your life. Because all the beliefs that I had and things that I thought to be true started to kind of start crumbling and falling apart, and had to be rebuilt with real beliefs. And so, but through that process of us both consuming that content, I highly recommend any couple that if you find something that really lights you up, encourage your partner to read it with you, because that's something that you need to be able to talk about. That you need to be able to, like, this is what it meant for me, and oh, this is how I saw that chapter or that line or whatever. That's really, really important to keeping your relationship kind of on track and moving in a spiritual direction. They talk about the growth of relationships have to go through these stages, and the final stage is spiritual growth. And a lot of people never get to spiritual growth.
And that came before we ever moved out into the camper, just timeline wise.
Well back.
This was soon after we had our first baby. And that's when I picked up the book. And so just in case anyone's not familiar with the Untethered Soul, it's dealing with that inner roommate. So the inner thoughts, the inner thinking. And so I needed him to be on that same page with me, because I told him, I said, you're in a different book and I need us to be on the same page. So this is all I know to do to get you to be on that page, but you have to want to turn it. Like you have to want to tune into this. And he did. And so there have been many of those moments in our relationship where, like he was talking about the spiritual growth, where it's so important as a couple for you to realize that, you know, I have a joke whenever I have a client that says, I just hope that I can meet my soulmate, my special one, like you have found Josh. And I said, you know, here's the thing. Instead of it being, will you marry me? It should be, will you mirror me? Because that's what you're signing up for, is someone to be your mirror. And the truth of that is, in a relationship, is a lot of times you're not going to like it, right? You're not going to enjoy the truth of it. But I feel like that is not only a true perk of marriage, is being able to have that honesty, like to say, hey, I need you to read this book with me. I need us to grow together. I don't want us to grow apart. I want us to stay connected. And, you know, being able to push those edges, those boundaries of, you know, the ones that lock us in, that box boundaries, instead going, hey, we're going to need to go outside of this box together. And I don't want to leave you behind. And I also don't want you to leave me behind. So we got to work on this together. So communication is key for that connection.
A quick, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hearing the mirror analogy, quick thought about that is, okay, so you want to have your partner be a mini me. Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. And I'm so glad that you
I'm being facetious, but I'm thinking somebody might hear it.
Yes, no, I am picking up what you're putting down, Mark. So the being a mirror is more on the level of you seeing things in that person. So you think it's that person that you don't like, or maybe you do like, but really it's just a reflection of parts of yourself. So I feel that my belief, and, you know, within our marriage, is we feel like our marriage is a holy relationship, right? So we have given our relationship to God. Holy Spirit, come in, bring us together, bring us closer to God through this union, right? That also is going to push against the ego. Ego is going to be like, no, I don't want that. I don't like that. Right. And so using that mirror, it's like I'm able to see things in that person that I can't see in myself. So we need that so we can see those blind spots. Right. So almost thinking about being in a car, and you need those side mirrors to be able to see this other extended areas of yourself that you can't see. And so that can also be uncomfortable. That can also like really upset you. That can also be something you don't want to deal with. When you think of it as, this is growing me, this is stretching me, this is helping me to get to my truest, not only potential, but closeness with the divine, then there's a purpose for it. Right? It's not just aggravation. Right? It's not just like, right? It's like, oh, okay, I got it. Like this.
And having the awareness, right? You got to have that awareness, whereas a lot of 100%. Us don't. We just go through life without the awareness and just keep reacting and reacting and reacting, instead of actually going within and saying, okay, what is this about? What is this about for me?
Right. Instead of being like, yeah, I know I have a problem. My problem's you know? Right. So, no. It's like, okay. what here is mine?
Yeah.
What here is coming up for me to heal? Okay.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh, we really are coming. I can't believe how quickly this has gone. So the question I have is, how do you stay grounded and connected to each other and your mission while constantly on the move?
That's a good one.
That's a very good question. I'll let you field that one.
So I feel like it's so we have to, it's just like a constant check-in process on that, right? So we're in a small space. That's another thing a lot of times people can't understand about our life. They're like, how do you share only 200 square feet with 6 people, right? Especially, and it's your husband, right? So when we need to have a deeper conversation and, you know, turn the conflict into connection, we have safe spaces. We have various safe spaces. So when we're on the road, we kind of have to, you know, he's in charge of figuring out where the space is where we can talk and not feel like, oh, we got to whisper or whatever, so we can speak freely and not wake up our kids. And, you know, because that's important to be able to check in with each other. Being on the road, it's also a new challenge as well as a new adventure, right? So again, just checking in with each other on, okay, what do you need? How are you feeling? You know, he'll pick up when I'm like doing a lot of things and just come over and do something loving, maybe give me a hug or just let me know I'm doing a good job. Or sometimes vice versa, when he's like, I can feel his stress of just wanting to get the things done. And I'm just like, how can I help? What can I do to be helpful right now? You know, so it's just understanding where to fit in, to be a support for each other, as well as then hearing each other when you're in that space. Okay, this is how you can help me. This is how you can help me. Okay, great.
I love that. And I love creating safe spaces for each and every one of you, right? And you said something about turning conflict into connection. Is that what you said?
I did.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that is just beautiful. Yes, exactly.
Turning the conflict,
we have like really 4 minutes. And if this seed hasn't been planted yet, I'm going to plant it, Jules and Josh. You need to write a book.
Okay.
Really, I think this is a book, what you're sharing here, and more, because I know there's a lot more, there's a book in this, without a doubt. Okay.
Yeah, we have a series of books that need to be written. This was number one.
I want to hear from Cheryl though. What kind of book are you planting a seed for?
I'm talking about an honest, true book about the journey from where it started, and you can have chapters absolutely to where you are now.
Yeah.
Right.
So a trilogy is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a trilogy. And again, just, you know, I think that sharing your story and being open and honest about it would give a lot of people more courage to follow their hearts.
Amen.
So I think that's where I'm coming from. That's the goal. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for planting the seed.
I personally, I do want to you know, share the message with men, because like it's, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you guys have the perfect life, blah blah blah. It's like, no,
it takes work.
I'm not easy to live with. I'm not easy. Like I have
can I hook you up with my husband?
I mean, it's true. We all men, you know,
we
struggle.
need to do a men's retreat. True. That's what we need to do.
Men struggle with the idea of the conflict creating connection. It's hard. It's really difficult, and it takes it's a constant workout that builds a muscle that is intangible. Again, the intangibility factor. You know what I mean? It's building something that's not something that you typically see or that you can just grab a hold of. So
we have to have more conversations. We definitely will be bringing you back next year if you're willing. We're pretty booked up now till the end of the year, so I cannot believe that we are actually at the end of October. And there's only 2 more months left of the year. But finally, how can people connect with you, follow your travels, and experience Miracle Lab firsthand?
I send weekly newsletter updates with travels, pictures, positive antidotes, stories. And you can go to themiraclelab.org for that newsletter. And we also have a retreat coming up for New Year's. You can come spend time with us here in Hopeful, Georgia. And yeah, coaching and all that is available on the website as well.
That retreat website is hopefulhorizons.themiraclelab.org.
Beautiful.
So come see us. Come spend time with us.
Thank you for being our wonderful guests today. Thank you, Mark, for being an amazing co-host. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.